what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it. All right, so Joe Sloan met with the media yesterday, and he went very in-depth, talked for about 24 minutes and touched on a lot of different elements. First, let's start with Garrett Nussmeier. This is him asked about, what are you seeing out of Nuss going into year one as a starter?
He processes information really quickly, and then he has the arm talent to get it to that place and the creativity, right? The growth over the last several years and just being process-oriented. That's what I've been really proud of him. He's been really focused on his process. He's been focused on little things and allowing the big things to happen. That's been really the things that I've enjoyed watching him, and then I've watched him grow as a leader this offseason and how he's really been able to let it happen naturally and let his work speak for itself, but also be the vocal leader right when he needs to be. But we're going to put him in positions to use that arm, to use his decision-making ability. But, you're going to see a lot of the same things, and then we're always going to build it around our personnel. But I think you're seeing our offense start to come together around him schematically.
The leadership portion of this is interesting to me. I think to be a great quarterback, you have to be able to lead other men. You have to be liked, and that is one thing that I've always felt Nuss had. If you watch him on the sideline and all the handshakes he had with different guys, just the kind of swagger that he carries himself with, he seems to get along well with the boss.
Oh, yeah, that's never really been a worry or an issue. And when you think about, what he did in his career to this point, you almost feel like he takes it in a different way, the opportunity to be the starter than anybody else is going to. And we could have conversations with Flynn about this. Once it's finally yours, it's like, I'm not doing anything but being really good in this moment and taking care of this position that I've been waiting on. It's like when, you've been waiting for a promotion, you've been waiting on that job, and you've been grinding, working hard, but you haven't been, given the benefits of that hard work. Well, now he's going to get the benefits, and he just has the mentality of, now that it is his, he ain't going to mess it up.
Yeah, he's got that opportunity, and with it comes a lot of pressure. A group that's going to make his job as a quarterback far easier would be that LSU offensive line. And I think this is a very good insight provided by Coach Joe Sloan here on the culture of a position group room and how it's not just about a single player. It's not just about a single group of players, but how it permeates throughout a room. Here is Joe Sloan on what Brad Davis is building in that O-line room.
There's some special guys up there who have played in a lot of games and seen a lot of different things. I think Coach Davis has done just a fabulous job of creating a standard in that room and creating it through players, where it's a standard that's developed through the players in that room, and they're the ones that are leading it. That's when you have a special group. All those guys, and you can see the standard of the first group pulling those younger guys. And that's what's exciting, right? That's how you build a culture in a room.
And it's interesting because one thing that Brian Kelly's always had throughout his coaching career is he tends to create very good offensive lines. He tends to create very good tight ends. You can say the same for Brad Davis. But, what a boon for Kelly here as he's starting his own culture, into a 10-year tenure here at Baton Rouge, to have guys like Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier, who can take over, lead by example, and lead vocally, and then they teach the next generation, right? And then it becomes a self-sustaining process where Weston Davis, whoever you want to say, Bordelon, whatever player you want to pick out, right? The next generation, what do? They get older, and then they teach the next generation. So Brad Davis and that offensive line setting up not just to be good this year, but potentially to be good for years to come.
Yeah, and it was the first couple of days that BK was here that he said this is how they wanted to build it. They wanted to build it through the offensive line, and they have certainly done that. And think about some of the bold things that they have done. Game 1, first ever game against Florida State, wasn't working. You made some moves. I mean, you put Emory Jones in at right tackle, and I remember all of us being like, we thought he's going to play guard, and certainly didn't think he was going to play this year. And he moves to right tackle, has a very solid first year playing there, and then now look at him. He's an all-SEC player. Dellinger was at center his first game. That wasn't working out. It's like, here comes Charles Turner. So he wasn't afraid to make some of those bold choices to get to where they're at right now, which is the best offensive line we think in the country.
Here's how they're challenging. This is Sloan 9 here, Alondra. How's LSU looking to challenge this offensive line in the running attack?
We're going to use our playmakers to make plays. If our offensive line has the ability to understand what they're seeing, process that information, and attack it physically and violently, right? And we can put them in different situations to be successful and use their ability, right, to learn, be physical, and to run, we're going to do it. And I think that's where a lot of times when you're building an offense or when you're calling plays, you have to think about, I need to protect this guy or I need to protect that guy, or, hey, you know what, that might be too much for us. And I think we've been able to challenge them so that we can attack people in a lot of different ways and make sure we can put the ball in the belly of the back a little bit. So it's definitely been something we challenged them with this offseason, and I think they've rose to the occasion and more.
Yeah, so look, we've talked about it plenty on this show, but LSU's rush game needed to evolve, and he mentions kind of players being able to mentally handle it. Obviously, with the guys with the line that you have, physically it's one of the best in the entire country, but the dual benefit of them also being very experienced and upperclassmen is that you can ask them to do more mentally, and that does allow you to attack in multiple different ways. It allows you to go into a play with a couple of plays called and you kill one for the other based on the read that you're getting, and you know that you're not going to have any major MAs. And who's going to benefit most off of this? Maybe right after Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU running backs. Kaleb Jackson, somebody that is one of the more exciting names in the backfield, and Joe Sloan had a lot to say when he talked about Kaleb Jackson. It's Sloan 6 here, Alondra, now coming into his own.
When he was able to get the football, and especially once he broke the first level or second level, he's a punishing back. He is hard to tackle. He runs, he gets his pads down on contact, and he's able to drive his feet. So really the big thing was the growth from being a freshman. There's so many different things to run back. It's not just get the ball and run. There's, right, how is this run scheme fitting against the defense that we're seeing, right, and where's the ball going to fit? And keeping my eyes up and understanding my read and being able to hit the proper hole. It's pass protection and being able to pick up whatever the defense gives me as we make checks. Remember, he got here last summer. He wasn't an early enrollee, so everything happened so fast for those guys. So his talent was showing, but now I think what you're seeing how he as a complete running back is going to start to come into his own.
It's good to hear on Kaleb Jackson. I'm still fascinated to see. I mean, we pretty much believe, and Coach Kelly's basically told us as much, that Josh Williams is the foundation here, RB1. But I'm very interested to see what John Emery and Kaleb Jackson can get out of this group, and then however kind of Caden Durham fills in the corners around the edges.
Yeah, so the things, kind of going back to both clips there, remember, the offensive line wasn't asked to do those things last year. So it's not like a situation where, hey, we tried to do more things, we just couldn't get that done. They didn't have to. They had the number one offense in the country. They had a quarterback that was a cheat code, a unicorn, and they could run inside zone and get enough out of the running game there because they were going to get an 85-yard, scramble from their quarterback, right? And almost they could guarantee that he would have 3 or 4 of those per game. So they didn't have to do that. Well, now things have changed. You have more of a pocket passer. Now, Garrett Nussmeier is, an athletic guy. He's not going to be a statue back there, but come on, he's not Jane Daniels. We know that. But you have an offensive line that can handle those things. They can do different things. They can run the powers, the counters, the pull leads, whatever you want them to run, the duos, the ISOs. But also, like, the running backs are going to now have more opportunity with their runs.
Yeah.
They're not going to just open crossover zone run. They're going to get a chance to hit it downhill from A gap to expand on power, on counter, B gap to expand. They're going to be able to maybe read an ISO block. Go back to 2019. And actually, I'd love to pull this play up at some point throughout the show. Like, they ran ISO at a gun. Like, they would get creative. They would move Thad Moss kind of around. They'd motion him around.
Yeah, become a little
and he'd become a fullback. And then Clyde would get it out of the gun. He'd read him. They'd split it, and they'd be off to the races. They can do those things again because they have the offensive line. They're going to have, a couple of different tight ends. I know you just lost one, but you still have 3 tight ends that you're expecting to play. Make one of them more of an F than a Y, and then that opens up so many things for you in the run game.
Wow, Jake. What incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.